The desert sun burned the dust road like fire that morning when the crowd gathered in front of Hollow Creek's gallows. Every pair of boots had stopped walking, every whisper turned into sharp murmurs, and every heart watched as the sheriff dragged out what the town called the beast in the sack. A figure stumbled forward, face completely hidden under a burlap hood, her arms tied, her dress tattered and soaked in dirt. No one knew her name, only the rumors that she was a witch, a thief, a murderer of men. Children pointed, women crossed their hearts, and men spit in the dirt as she passed. But among that hateful crowd stood one man who didn't move, a tall, broad-shouldered cowboy named Boone Callahan. He was known across Texas as the Giant of the West, a man whose silence carried more weight than bullets. He had seen too many things: the war, the loss of his brother, the death of his wife. But that morning, as the sun glared off the sheriff's badge, something in Boone's chest shifted. Maybe it was pity, maybe it was fate, but it felt like the ground had just changed beneath his boots. Boone's horse pawed the ground as he squinted toward the kneeling woman. "Hanging her for what?" he asked the deputy beside him. "For what she is," the man replied coldly. "A monster." Boone's jaw tightened. He'd heard that tone before, the kind that men used when they didn't understand what they feared. The sheriff lifted the sack slightly to show her face, and gasps erupted from the crowd. Beneath it wasn't a beast but a scarred young woman, her eyes swollen yet strangely calm. Her lips trembled, but she didn't beg. Boone had seen courage before, but not like that. She looked like someone who had already died inside and had nothing left to lose. "She was caught near the river," the sheriff barked, "accused of stealing from wagons, poisoning livestock, and bewitching men." Boone watched her flinch, not at the accusations but at the laughter that followed. Something deep and heavy coiled in his chest like a storm. When the sheriff raised his hand to give the signal, Boone's voice thundered through the crowd. "Hold up." The air froze. Every head turned. Boone dismounted and walked toward the platform, his boots thudding against the wooden planks. "You got proof?" he asked. The sheriff frowned. "Proof? We got her caught red-handed with stolen bread." Boone chuckled lowly. "You hanging folks over bread now?" Murmurs rippled again. The sheriff gritted his teeth. "She's not one of us, Boone, filthy stranger." Boone's eyes flicked to the woman, her chest heaving under the rough rope. "Neither am I," he said. Then, without asking permission, Boone drew his knife and cut the rope from her wrists. The crowd erupted in chaos. "You lost your damn mind?" the sheriff shouted. Boone turned to the townsfolk and said, "If y'all so sure she's a beast, then I'll take the risk. She's mine now." That was how the whispers began. Boone rode out of Hollow Creek with the hooded woman slumped behind him, tied only by trust and disbelief. She didn't speak for hours. The prairie wind howled between them, carrying away the dust and judgment of the town. When they finally reached Boone's ranch, he helped her down. "You got a name?" he asked. The woman hesitated. "They called me Mara," she whispered hoarsely, her voice like broken glass softened by rain. Boone nodded slowly. "Well, Mara, you're safe here." But she didn't believe him. Not yet. Days passed. Boone worked his cattle while Mara stayed silent, cleaning, cooking, avoiding his gaze. He noticed her flinch every time someone raised their voice, every time a door slammed. Her scars told stories she didn't need to speak. One night, during a thunderstorm, Boone found her sitting outside, staring into the rain. "You shouldn't be out here," he said softly. She looked up, eyes glistening. "You don't know what I've done," she whispered. Boone crossed his arms. "Maybe not, but I know what being hated feels like." She blinked, surprised. He told her about his past, the war, the mistakes, the people who never forgave him. For the first time, Mara's lips curved slightly. "They called me a beast because I fought back," she confessed. "Men tried to take things from me. When I defended myself, they said I was cursed." Boone stared at her and his heart broke silently, not out of pity but admiration. Weeks turned into months. The sack that once hid Mara's face now hung on the barn wall, forgotten and covered in dust. She began to smile, to help with the horses, to hum while cooking. Boone realized that his house, once filled only with ghosts, had begun to feel alive again. One afternoon, while teaching her to ride, their hands brushed. It was a small moment, but it felt like thunder rolling through both their chests. That night by the dying fire, Mara said softly, "You saved me." Boone shook his head. "No, Mara, you saved me first." But peace in the West never lasts long. Word spread that Boone was harboring the beast. One morning, riders came, men from Hollow Creek with torches and guns. They demanded Boone hand her over. He stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand, eyes blazing. "She ain't no beast," he said. "But if you're looking for monsters, you'll find one in me if you take another step." The standoff was silent, tense as wire. Then Mara stepped beside him, uncovered, unafraid. "If they want me," she whispered, "they can have me." Boone turned to her, voice breaking. "No, Mara. They already took everything from you. Not this time." With his massive frame shielding her, the mob faltered. The sheriff who once condemned her lowered his weapon and muttered, "Let 'em be." When the dust settled, Mara wept against Boone's chest, her tears washing away years of fear. He held her tightly, whispering, "You ain't a beast, Mara. You're the bravest soul I ever met." The world outside still called her cursed, but in Boone's eyes, she was a miracle. Together they rebuilt what hatred tried to destroy. A home, a love, a quiet life beneath the endless western sky. And so the legend of Hollow Creek changed. They once called her the beast in the sack, but now they whispered another story, about a giant cowboy who found his heart inside it. If you love this story, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful Western tales of love, redemption, and courage that touch the soul. Your support keeps these stories alive.